Good afternoon, everyone. I'm David Storm of Group G, and today I'll be interviewing these two individuals, local entrepreneurs based in Kutikana, and they're running a boutique homestay. Today, they've agreed to answer our questions, and we'll see what their experience was like running a business, running a homestay in Kutikana, by following the framework of PESTLE analysis. So starting with, I'll ask some general questions. Could you briefly introduce the company and its core business activities, along with it yourselves and your educational background?
Okay, well, I'll start off and then pass it on to you. Okay, so my name's Fabian Abraham. This is my wife Jessica Abraham, and we used to live in Australia for the last 15 years and moved here 2 years ago. We opened up this boutique homestay / resort. And it's been operational for the last six months now. As far as background is concerned, I have a master's in international business and an MBA.
And I have a PhD in reproductive biology and no formal qualifications in business.
Well, a PhD is a lot more interesting than having been in business.
Still learning through experience.
So I guess we should also mention you guys moved back to Kerala. You were natively working here. Like, how was the transition like? Moving from Australia, they were previously in Australia, and coming back to Kerala, how was the shift like? And what differences were, I guess, how different is it running a business in Australia and compare that to in Kerala?
I'll speak to what we can attest to. We both worked and had government jobs in Australia, so we haven't run businesses there, but we moved to India for personal reasons, and this is more of a passion project. We started off as a passion project, but we had a lot of friends and family from overseas and from a lot of other parts of the world come and stay here and told us there's a great potential for this to be a business opportunity. So we do live here full time. So this is our home, but at the same time, it's a passion project and a business venture at the same time as well. Yeah.
And I guess we can move on to do more technical stuff. What major markets and customer segments your company serve? Does your company serve?
Tourism, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are tourism-based industry, so that is the major market.
Yep.
But that encapsulates both international tourists, so foreigners, as well as local tourists from all over India, as well as within Kerala. They're our main market.
Is the emphasis more on domestic customers or foreign ones?
I guess emphasis is probably not the right way to think about it. So break it down to what we're currently getting and what we would like to get moving into the future. So currently in this local area, Kutikkanam, it's predominantly domestic tourists that come to this area. But if you think about somewhere like Munnar, it's being pushed big internationally by Kerala Tourism and others. And eventually, or what we've heard from the tourism minister, for instance, is that Kutikkanam will become more of a foreign, like international tourist destination into the future. But currently, it's mostly domestic.
Domestic, yes. Yeah.
And ideally, what would you guys like to have? Like, if you were the ones to pick customers, which segment would you guys like to target?
Well, so the level that we do here already is suitable for international tourists. So we have already gotten to this level or standard of international tourists.
We actually did build this place with intent and intention to cater to the international tourists, to the international tourist. So a lot of this, which you've seen walking around the place, this property has been built to a bespoke standard with foreign and international tourists in mind. But at the same time, we understand the domestic market drives a large portion of business, so to speak, in Kutikkanam. So we can get it to both levels, but it is also dependent on the flow, and it's dependent on what time of the year and where the tourists are coming from and where the holiday season is, etc., etc.
And I guess we've also there's been a difference in market between domestic tourists who still live predominantly in India, as well as Malayalis or other Indians
Expats.
that are expats. They live in another country, but they've come back to India for holidays and they bring their family here.
Mhm.
So we treat them as different markets as well, I guess.
I guess it depends on the time of the year.
Time of the year and yeah.
Okay, so that concludes our general questions. Now we'll be moving on to the political factors of PESTLE analysis. So, starting with, what kind of government support or challenges does your industry face?
Do you want to answer that?
Government support.
Yeah, and challenges.
I guess Kerala Tourism,
Mm-hmm.
which is a government agency, supports tourist industries
Mhm.
like ours, but the regulation is optional. So we are currently in the process of doing additional regulations with Kerala Tourism, and they're being very supportive, helping
Mhm.
us through all of that and giving us tips on how to improve and market ourselves better, which is helpful. In terms of local government support, like Panchayat,
Yep.
we do have to get our license from them. So they come and do inspections, and we have to hand over a lot of paperwork to them.
In addition to that, the Kerala Tourism Board or the Tourism Department is headquartered in Idiki in Kumli, which is
Close by.
very, very close. So we fall under their jurisdiction, and they are the ones that come and do the inspection and as such. So in addition to the Panchayat license that just mentioned that we need to have, we are also in the process of getting our Kerala Tourism license, which is probably what answers your question a bit more in regards to the support. So the few interactions that we've had with them, especially in relation to finding the right documentations, finding the right paperwork, they have been very supportive.
Yeah.
They walk us through it. They've given their time and resources to answer our questions, especially getting all the other auxiliary documents put together. So I will have to admit they have been quite helpful. In addition to that, the Panchayat and any of the other local bodies, the village officers, have also been supportive. But at the same time, we weren't completely blank when we went and asked for these things. We knew what to expect. We've done our background, we've done the research, and then when you go in there, you go with half or more than half of the requirements. So it's easier for them to guide you rather than going with the blank sheet. Yeah. There you go.
So I guess in the same vein, has your business been impacted by changes in taxation, trade policies, or subsidies?
So recently there was a change to taxation
Mhm.
in September last year,
Yep.
around about that time, where they took away
Input credits.
input credits for tourism industry, but they changed the taxation rate based on how much you were paying per night for a room, which was supposed to or is supposed to benefit the consumer. So theoretically, people who are coming to a place to stay should be paying less tax. But yeah, it's on a sliding scale based on how much the rooms are. So there's more of a luxury tax now.
So I guess you guys are affected more than your average homestay.
Yeah,
Usually.
we're considered premium and our prices are premium, which means that now we get taxed more. But we haven't seen the outcome of that yet because it hasn't been a full year. So we can't say whether that's going to be beneficial or not. The idea is that it should increase tourism because people should be able to afford to go and pay the money to holiday. So the idea behind that is positive. That's good.
So from a political point of view, when government intervenes and makes changes like that, it can either positively or negatively affect any businesses, not just our industry, but any other businesses. But it usually takes a bit of time to understand how quickly or when those outcomes
What the
can
outcome will
be
be.
seen.
So we don't
Yes.
know yet.
We don't know yet.
There's only
But
recent.
yeah.
From your given experience, is there anything that you'd like to change? Not to necessarily make the experience better for you or to turn the tables in your favor, but rather, oh man, I wish if this was like this, everything would have been so seamless, everything would have been hassle-free, or something that would have been
I
nice
think
to have.
there's definitely improvements to be made in administration. So being clear about what documents you need, what regulations you must follow, because currently we're like in the middle of shifting to everything online, and so some things are online, some things aren't, and it gets very confusing, and it's not shared across different groups
And agencies.
so that is definitely something that needs improvement, but it is heading that way. We're just not there yet.
Yeah, exactly what you said. With K-Smart and these online platforms where you can actually go in and apply through your local lecture center, or if you have access to a laptop and internet, you can do it by yourself as well. That has made it a lot more easier. But it would be awesome if the different government bodies talk to each other, so to speak, or they have shared systems that can be viewed, because you double up or have to do the same document multiple times for different agencies. But if it can be all streamlined and made consistent, it would make everyone's lives a lot more easier. Not just ours, but also for the government, because
It'll cut down
their work time, and red tape will be significantly reduced.
So that about concludes our political factors. Now we'll be moving on to the second letter of PESTLE analysis, E for economic growth. So my question to you guys is, what role does consumer purchasing power play in your pricing strategy?
That is a very good question. Consumer purchasing power is what basically tourism is dependent on to a very large extent. And what I mean by that is the people who travel, it's obviously not their most number one priority, as per Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The traveling and tourism is like a
nice addition.
Yeah, it's an addition to. It's not a need. It's a want, so to speak. Anyway, so with purchasing power, when people do have additional purchasing power, they spend money on these kind of things, especially traveling, buying other stuff, etc., luxury. So that means that is quite good when there is when people do have additional purchasing power. And on that same token, I just want to talk more about exchange rates, and that's something you can talk to in a bit more detail, because currently the exchange rates of the Indian rupee has is not going down. But for people who come to India to spend that money, they don't have to spend the same amount of dollar or a foreign currency to come and travel here. So that would entice more people from overseas to come and travel in countries like India, because their dollar goes a long way there. And that means they can actually do luxury travel or for less amount of money. But for a country like India, that would still stimulate the economy, because they would have a lot more Indian currency or foreign currency being spent in India, and that means tourism sector will grow, and that's something that we are looking forward to as well. Yeah.
So my next question is, how does economic conditions like inflation and economic growth affect your business?
So same sort of idea, more economic growth, more money that people have to spend on holidays and luxury items like going on holiday. So that would benefit us as a tourism.
Especially because this is a very nice property, and I'd like to also ask that luxury travel, you said luxury travel and budget traveling are two different industries. And of course we talked about pricing strategy. Do you ever think, okay, maybe your rooms are too expensive? Is that ever a concern?
Can I just start and then you carry on from there? There are those two categories which you just mentioned, but then there is also something called affordable luxury. You probably hear that phrase coined and thrown out all the time through social media, etc. So we try to cater to that affordable luxury point of view, and luxury doesn't necessarily mean you come and stay in something that's very expensive and you pay a lot of money for the privilege of staying in a place. At the end of the day, affordable luxury is where the basic necessities that you take for granted in a lot of other Western countries, which are not very common in India, predominantly cleanliness, consistency, transparency.
Good quality products, healthy, sustainable, all of those things. It's not a necessity in tourism industry in India, but in other countries it is.
Yep. And we tend to cater towards that. So we're not too worried about it being too expensive, because at the end of the day we want to bring in that side of tourists. So when those kind of tourists come in and come and stay here, they're not only spending their time and money in a business like ours, but they're also going and distributing the wealth so to speak, in other businesses. So the restaurant owners would benefit, someone who runs a tea stall would benefit, someone who sells spices would benefit. So they spread the love, so to speak, or
bringing the
money,
whole
so to
area
speak.
up
Yeah.
together. So yeah, our pricing is not based on huge profits. It's based on the type of audience or consumer that will appreciate what we're able to give them here.
And at the same time, you're not bothered about catering to everyone or lowering your standards for a wider market to be available to you guys.
We would like to say, we'd like to cater to everyone, but that's not
Yeah.
practically feasible. There's a very simple, basic thing saying that goes something on the lines of you get what you pay for, and we definitely want to stand by that, because what we pay, what we charge for something is reflected in what we provide. So we can hand on heart guarantee what you pay for is what you get here. It's not fake, it's not advertising, we don't retouch our photos, we don't do anything extra. It's purely plain, simple, clear, transparent, and it's consistent.
And we will never have to increase our prices substantially either, because we're sitting at the right, we've got the balance right. But we had to have a lot of discussions to figure out what that balance is when we began.
I guess that's where inflation plays a role, whether you have to raise prices or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that about concludes our session on economic factors. Up next, we'll be moving on to social factors. Now, we move on to the third letter of PESTLE analysis, social factors. My question is, how does the company address employee welfare, work culture, and social responsibility?
Employee welfare, that's something we take very seriously, because we are predominantly the main employees here. But we do also have part-time staff and other staff that work for us, especially on a seasonal basis as well. So one of the things that, coming from Australia, that culture that we've been used to is to operate in a team environment, working collaboratively together. So the traditional hierarchy method that you see in maybe, for example, India or some other Asian countries, we don't try to follow that. It has its pros and cons, I agree, but what works for us is to have this collaborative approach. What was the other part of the question? The employee welfare and
work culture and social responsibility.
Yeah.
Social responsibility.
We definitely value a happy workplace. I feel like that leads to better work outcomes and a happier lifestyle for us being here full time too. So we definitely facilitate that with our staff by having incentives, throwing end of season parties to thank them for all of their work. We just did one a couple of nights ago.
Yeah. That's something we do in Australia. Like every workforce gets an end of Christmas party or a holiday season party where people and the staff and the employees go out. Either they go out and have a drink, or they get together, share a meal together, and thank and appreciate each other for being part of the team. And that's something I think a lot of large corporations do that, but us being small and to the size that we are, we still do it because we think that's part of our social responsibility to keep our staff and the people who work with us, not just staff, the contractors, the suppliers, even the person who comes and collects the recycling every month, happy, so that they feel appreciated.
And not only that, like having some of those social situations gives them a safe, comfortable place to give feedback to, because we know that we have room to grow and improve, and we don't see every aspect of this business. So we definitely welcome anyone who works here or comes here to give us feedback on how we can improve.
And I'd also like to touch on, when we talk about employee welfare, can we also talk about the age of employees, or what kind of demographic these employees are coming from?
So we've had employees with from a range of ages, but predominantly currently we are having students who are a lot younger, but that gives them an opportunity. They work and study at the local college. They study at the local college, and this working with us opens their eyes to a different experience that they normally wouldn't have had the opportunity to work with.
Which is something that's unique because we're in Kutikanam and Marian College is here and the other colleges are here too. So we definitely wanted to utilise that opportunity to help younger generations see a different side of business and a different side of tourism.
And as students ourselves in a past life, we had to work and study at the same time, so we understand the importance and the complexities also at the same time to have a work-life balance and study and manage all that together.
And the importance of mentorship. I feel like that's something both of us have brought here with us, is that we do want to help younger generations by mentoring them in whatever way we can.
I guess that answers the social responsibility part. Because, like you mentioned, you're giving back to the community even when you don't have to. And in India, side note, in India, teenagers are not hired that much. And when they're hired, they're exploited. Especially if you take catering or even some hospitality sector, they'll do most of the brute work. But they're not paid handsomely for it, but it's the only job they can get. So I really appreciate you guys, not because I personally know those who work here, I personally appreciate you giving them a competitive wage as someone competitive wage that someone older would get, and giving that to teenagers.
Yeah, but we definitely believe that, like, if the work gets done, then you should get paid what that work is.
Fair work, fair pay.
It's got nothing to do with age or even necessarily experience. If you do the job correctly, then you get paid the amount that is due.
And that's something also being and working in Australia. These Western countries have a significant influence and say in what employees get paid. So your male, female, there's no discrepancies, or there was, but it's becoming getting better. Quality of pay is an important thing, and that's something that we believe in too.
And India is going to come in line with that eventually. So that is something that I feel like we're doing in a lot of aspects of our business, is meeting an international standard, because the whole world will catch up and be more universal eventually. So we're kind of getting there before it's necessary.
Basically, win-win-win for everyone involved.
Yeah.
That concludes our social factors segment. Now we'll be moving on to technological factors. So my question is, how has technology in general affected you guys and hospitality industry as a whole?
Great question. Technology, especially when it comes to the hospitality industry, has increased bookings and how things get done in the last few years. Previously, someone would go to a tourist destination, to a local store or a rickshaw or a taxi driver.
You have to rely on travel agencies.
Even before they go to travel agencies and similar, they would talk to a local auto rickshaw or a taxi driver, and they would dictate where the customer gets taken to.
Depending on how much commission they
depending on what they get paid and the commission rates and similar, so on and so forth. But now with the advances in technology, people can actually see, based on reviews, etc., what a property can offer even before they come, and they can make the decision. They're a lot more well informed before they commit or not commit to going with one person or the other. So that means the unnecessary haggling, the
cuts out the middleman.
Cuts out the middleman. There's misinformation doesn't get transferred over. You buy straight from consumer, business to consumer, so to speak. So we get to interact straight with the customer, and the customer gets to interact with us. So that the savings that they make and the commissions that you don't have to give to the middleman end up being savings for the customer.
And I guess on top of that, not only that, I guess there's a channel to give feedback as well. Which I guess traditionally was not the case, because where would you let people know?
So it's not just about like Google business profiles, it's also online booking platforms like Airbnb, Booking.com, Make My Trip, all of those. It means it's more transparent, but it's also additional marketing, right? That's visibility that we wouldn't have got otherwise, and it's international visibility. We've actually heard from pretty much every international tourist we've had stay here. They use predominantly Booking.com or Agoda for all of their accommodation bookings. So the reviews there and the way you market yourself on those platforms is very important.
As part of technological factors is social media. Like you want to just
using social media as marketing too. It's becoming very necessary, but that's something that many places in Kerala don't necessarily do yet, but will definitely change in the coming years for sure.
And speaking of that, could you talk about this homestay's online presence? Are you guys active? Are you guys keeping in touch with the times? And that's a general question.
Yeah, definitely. We use social media a lot for our marketing, and I guess we had social media and we're very big in social media even before we opened this place. So it's a big part of our lives here. But
Yeah.
it means we are more transparent. Like
A lot more
we.
people are watching you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're seeing all aspects of
Yeah.
our lives here. So
Yeah.
we're definitely not misleading anybody in how we market this place
Yeah.
because we're using social media in a super transparent way.
And
Which
we
I
get
think is good.
scrutinized a lot more because
Oh,
we
yeah.
are transparent.
And putting yourselves more out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, and the other thing about social media is like you get to reach an audience which you normally wouldn't, and especially for the industry that we work and operate in, to attract the kind of clientele that we want, there is no other option but to
Yeah.
rely on
Yeah.
social media. So it's a bit of a not necessarily catch-22; it's a necessary evil,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Especially because younger generations are predominantly using social media influencers to decide
Make
where they
decisions.
want to go to. And so you have to be online and have a presence there to be seen.
Let's talk a little bit more cutting edge. What about AI? What about big data? Does any of that play a role in your industry?
Maybe not big data, but AI, like using tools like ChatGPT to streamline some of the administration and background procedures that we need to do, some of our marketing.
I guess with data entry, data
Yeah,
management.
never using it completely, but using it to learn faster and to find out like starting points of where to look or who to talk to.
Yeah.
That's definitely something that like I've used
Yeah.
ChatGPT for.
Yeah, even though we work in the hospitality industry, we are by no means experts in this field. This was not our background, so we have relied on the internet or AI to streamline some of these procedures and processes for us. So we have used it to our advantage.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're still classified as a small business, so
Yeah.
using any tools that can streamline your workload is important because you are holding many hats. We're not just the owners, we're also managers, we're also here caretaking, we're also bosses to all the staff that come on board. We're doing many things all at once.
So that about concludes our session on technological factors. Up now, we'll be moving on to environmental factors of PESTLE analysis. So, as two owners running a boutique homestay, where do you guys stand on sustainability, recyclability, and keeping your surroundings clean? Where does the government require you guys to be, and where do you guys are standing currently? Do you exceed that bar, or are you trying to keep up with it?
Okay, so we here definitely practice sustainability in nearly everything that we do. So we don't have single-use plastics here. Everything that we have are in reusable or refillable bottles, so shampoos, conditioners, all of that. And if you look at Western countries like USA, Australia, it's actually illegal to provide those things in single-use plastics. And so we're already doing that here. Whereas if you look at the regulations or requirements in India or Kerala in particular, that's not necessary. Yeah. And not only that, we provide filtered water in glass bottles rather than plastic bottles, and we're always thinking about what
Our
waste
carbon
we're
footprint.
creating. Our carbon footprint in every aspect of the business because we require a clean environment. To progress into the future, it makes things a lot easier for us in our long-term management. So we're definitely ahead of the game, I guess you could say, in terms of that. What would you say, Vivian?
Basically, exactly what you said. The government regulations are there, but we like to go a couple of steps ahead or on top of that. And a classic example is recently we had a random inspection happen, and they've been going through all the other properties nearby
For waste management.
and they actually took photos of our place to show other industry owners who've been in this industry for decades, even, to show how things are done differently and how things could be done if you have aptitude and the willpower and the mentality to do it. So they were quite happy and said we plaster with flying colours.
Because
compared to
I
a lot
wouldn't
of
say
other
that the
ones.
way we're doing it has cost us more. It's just looking at
Takes more
problems a
effort.
different way.
It takes more effort. It's about having proper waste management systems where you educate and instill that thought process in people, especially staff, and also guests who come and stay. By highlighting the importance of segregating your trash. So you have organics separately and you put single-use plastic separately, so it makes everyone's life easier. So it can be cleaned up and recycled much better.
And we work with the local panchayat for
Yep.
dealing with our recycling and all
Mhm.
of that too.
And there's something called upscaling or upcycling. It's something that we practice. So it's easy to throw something out into landfill. And as you are very aware of this, plastic is takes decades to disintegrate and still be there, and pollutes the waterways and it pollutes the environment. And we personally don't believe. We personally don't want that to happen. We believe that you need to you need to keep the environment and nature as best as you found it.
And one of the draw cards of this area, particularly for tourism, is the Western Ghats and the natural environment that we're surrounded by. And if we contribute to polluting that, we're just shooting ourselves in the foot if we want this to maintain a good tourism destination.
Yep.
I think there's room for improvement there, but and I know Kerala Tourism is talking about how to improve that.
Yep.
All of Kerala
That's
as
a
well.
great point, because when we talk about sustainability, it's basically same for the next generation and making it better for yourself. So like you mentioned, if the environment isn't clean, no one's coming to visit this place.
And future generations won't have the opportunity to witness it the way we see it.
I guess a lot of it is possible because, like you mentioned earlier, you guys run this place out of passion. This is a passion project. You do it for the love of the game, not necessarily to make profit. So I guess that really plays a big role into how you view things, because if you were to stay in this resort or this homestay, you guys would, that's the standard you hold this place to, and I think that's very commendable. And that concludes our section on environmental factors. So moving on to the last letter of the PESTLE analysis, legal factors. What are the major legal regulations affecting your business right now?
I guess the main one for us is being required to submit C forms for international guests within 24. Yeah, so within 24 hours of an international or foreigner coming to our hotel, we have to submit details of their identity and visa and what their future plans are in Kerala, and then also submit another form once they depart, and that it provides them with some level of protection, because it theoretically means that the local police knows that they are here, so that if something happens, they can easily be helped.
And since you're on this, because you guys are collecting data, how do you guys handle it, and are there any protection measures set in place?
All
Yes.
of our data is collected online and stored that way, and it's all password protected, so other people cannot get access to it. And it also means we keep access to it and have to give that information over to people who come and check.
Yeah.
Like authorities?
Yeah, they come and check how many people have stayed, where they're from, that sort of thing.
Anything that's done manually or via paper is stored under lock and key, which either Jess or myself will have access to, so that we limit the amount of and staff have access to that. So that means the data and personal information doesn't get compromised or misused.
I guess that's also very commendable, because you could easily sell, foreigner, all of these details about them. You could sell that to other companies and their information, and they'd be able to spam them with calls and annoy them with brochures and such.
Yeah, nobody likes that.
No, exactly. So I think that's also a great stance. And anything else in terms of like water, air quality, anything like that, ventilation, things like that?
So we do get our water tested to meet safety levels, and that's regulated by the local government too. Like we submit that to the panchayat.
Amongst a lot of other things that we have to do
Yeah.
to adhere to, having a certain level of electricity, water, air quality.
But we exceed that even because we have smoke alarms in all of our
which is
rooms,
not even a
which is not
requirement,
required.
but we still do
We
that.
test all of our water ourselves more regularly than what is required, just because it's very important to us that we have good quality for the people that are staying here.
What about licenses? What licenses as a homestay entrepreneur do you guys need to have on you at all times?
So you have to have a hotel license or homestay license, which is with the local panchayat. I'm pretty sure that's the only
That's the only
actual
one for
requirement, but we have
time being,
extras on top of that.
Okay, so that about concludes all sectors of PESTLE analysis. And as a side note, is there any advice you guys would like to give to aspiring entrepreneurs, and in particular aspiring entrepreneurs in hospitality sector?
One thing it would be like, you wouldn't have the answers to everything. You wouldn't know what to do but go ahead and give it a crack. You know, you are young, and you can make mistakes, and you use that as a stepping stone. That every failure is a stepping stone to success, and it's a learning experience.
And don't
Looking
be
at
afraid
that.
to go
Yeah.
and talk to the other business owners in your area and ask them for advice, because they have good advice. People who've been doing it for longer than you will always have something that they
It's
can
worth
teach
sharing.
you.
Yeah.
And help your local community, because working as a team and building everybody up at the same time is always a benefit.
Yeah.
So that about completely concludes our interview. Thank you, Mr. Hoodin,
Thank you.
for staying with us. Thank you, ma'am.
No worries.
So that about concludes our interview.